on KFOR.
Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome in to the morning hookup. Elijah Herbal, you Malone, rocking with you on a Thursday. What you said, different.
Of you doing the intro?
Yeah.
Well, I thought about you looked at me like, hey, you're sitting in that chair. Did you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't want to take your thunder. You're more of a staple on here than I am.
And I actually just turned your mic on and tried to do it, and then went, oh wait,
that's not going to work.
Muscle memory of turn on.
Well, and it's not a chair that you're not qualified for, but with YZ being here quite often, you just kind of, I use the term kick back, loosely, kind of let it fly and just do the speaking. If we were on what they call the ones and twos, I think we've gone over that before. It's a little added responsibility. I am Hugh Malone, Elijah Herbal, obviously in there. Bill Hook's going to be gone today and tomorrow. And just because Bill is gone doesn't mean that the sports world stops. So we got some big shoes to fill today. We'll see how that goes. Got a lot to talk about today. I think we'll touch a little bit about, it was National Signing Day. I know it's not as big event anymore with the early signing period, but Nebraska does make their class a little bit bigger. I think it ended up being 2 additions. One, obviously a very big one, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Got the NBA trade deadline coming up. I think that ends tonight.
It's today, I think.
Today,
1 or 2 p.m.
1 or 2 p.m. And we've already seen some huge movements, some teams. Second hour, I know that we will have your guy, DeMarco Angelo. Come on.
Yeah,
we've got one.
Talk.com going to bring in some Super Bowl plays.
One game left. So we'll visit with him a little bit about the game and also some of the special props. And Elijah, let me ask you this while we're still talking about that. Has this Super Bowl just kind of crept up on you differently this year? And I say that for me, and I think I've heard other people kind of maybe steal my thunder before I got a chance to get behind the microphone. And you can point to various reasons. Maybe it doesn't have that Mahomes or with the Patriots, the Brady, the star power. And maybe it's some teams that aren't, the LA, New York, the huge media market. But
the issue, I think, is that NFL fans, whenever they saw Mahomes go down and the Chiefs missed the Super Bowl, you're ready for some fresh blood. You're like, man, maybe Josh Allen and the Bills can finally get one. Looking over on the other side, you were looking, I think a lot of folks, Seattle was one of the teams, but I think a lot of folks were looking at the Bears.
Yeah,
with Caleb Williams being a team that, man, maybe they make it to the Super Bowl first. But instead, you got 2 teams.
The Rams with their 38-year-old quarterback who's having an MVP season. Yes, they have been there recently, but that was a great story.
Instead, you got 2 teams that, while it's new faces on the team, it's the same teams from 10 years ago.
Yes, it's a replay, but
and I think that's what takes away is like whenever you finally had an opportunity for fresh blood, you're like, man, I hope some fan bases that haven't had a chance to see the glory, see the mountaintop, get a chance to make it to the Super Bowl and play in one. So some people are on the Bills bandwagon, and the Broncos probably would have fallen the same as a Broncos fan.
For sure.
The same issue of Peyton Manning 10 years ago. Now,
well, I think your fate was kind of sealed when the quarterback went down. Yeah, let's be honest.
There would have been a little bit more juice, I think, if it was a backup quarterback playing the Super Bowl, because that would have been a fun story than Drake May and the Patriots. But I'm biased, I will admit. But instead, you're getting this matchup of teams that's like, oh well, Seahawks, they had their success with Russell Wilson. The Patriots were the most dominant team in the NFL for 15 years.
Sam Darnold was the quarterback, basically left for dead. At how many stops, was this guy going to be an NFL bust? And you look at that Seattle team, and I mean, yes, Denver had a great year, but Seattle probably one of the more dominant teams from start to finish in the NFL, deserving to be there. A lot of people are interested. Can the Patriots do this? This is new. There's no Belichick. There's no Tom Brady. This is a different Patriots team.
And it feels like they've just been skating by in the playoffs too. I mean, they've played some great defenses, and the guy who led you to this point, Drake May, he hasn't been playing at his best through the playoffs, but I think you can chalk some of that up to Chargers, Texans, and Broncos. That's a gauntlet of defenses to go through for any second-year quarterback. And one in Denver, that was his first ever road playoff game. That's going to be a tough environment. Now he gets his chance at the Super Bowl. Can he get back to his regular season MVP candidate form? It's a question I have with the Patriots, but you can't deny that the wins that they have this postseason, some folks have tried to discount them because of how sloppy they've looked and how close these games have been. Well, they just went and beat 3 good teams.
And sloppy counts.
Sloppy counts. And hey, whether it's a backup quarterback in the AFC title game, it doesn't matter. That was a great defense you went and took down. It's a great defense with the Texans you went and took down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think a lot of people and maybe I speak for myself that, when you talk about the fresh blood and teams that you see have these dynasties like the Patriots did, earlier in the 2000s, that a lot of people unfairly, I think, to a point, believes that, well, you've been to the top. Now it's your time, to be downtrodden, to have your downtime, to go through the doldrums and to suffer like the other 31 NFL teams have had to do at some point. And there just was never really that big of a fall off, even when you had Tom Brady, leave and Belichick leave, that it's a lot of people, I think, unfairly, well, the Patriots never had to suffer. Well, and they're back here again. And I don't like that.
They had like one really bad year. That was about it.
They did. But,
one really bad year. I think folks like, wait, you had 15 years of success. Now it's time for 15 years of suck.
And they didn't get that, and that right there, that's an attribute to their general manager and the rest of the management that, that they didn't have to tank to get draft points. They're like, no, we're going to go build it in a different direction. And they did. And you see a lot of these NFL fans maybe almost have like that Alabama syndrome. It's like, no, you've been here too often. I want to see somebody else. Well, sorry, that's not how it works. Their management made the right moves, and they made, obviously getting Drake May, because, he wasn't the first quarterback taken in that draft by any means. You wonder if teams could go back and redraft those quarterbacks, how that would work.
Well, all the quarterbacks from that class, because you got
Caleb Williams,
Drake May, Jaden Daniels,
yes.
Bo Nix. Those are the first 4 quarterbacks off the board. Right, I didn't miss one, did I?
No, I don't believe so. And
wait, I did miss one. JJ McCarthy.
McCarthy. Okay,
Vikings.
All right.
Sorry, Vikings. You're gonna continue to suck.
But I don't think
that's hilarious. Of any team in that draft class to pick the one bust, it's hilarious that it's the Vikings.
not a Vikings fan, huh?
No, it's just with their history. Sorry, Vikings fans,
yeah,
but that you have to admit the comedic element to the fact that there were that many great quarterbacks in that class, and they ended up with JJ.
Well, I think Vikings and some of their draft busts I think they're kind of like the Raiders of the NFC. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say
yes.
It's so Vikings that they got the one bust quarterback out of that class.
That's crazy. So,
but the Seahawks, their story with Darnold, I think there's also some jealousy from other fan bases, probably because they drafted right. They invested in their defense. They got a guy in Jackson Smith-Njigba who's great free agency addition in Cooper Kupp. But there's been so many NFL teams out there that have had good pieces that go to free agency to pick that quarterback up. That's, hey, he's bounced around the league. He's a bit of a journeyman, but we see some potential in him. Hopefully he can lead us to at least the playoffs with the roster that we have. And so many times other teams have failed in doing that. And then the Seahawks, they pick up Sam Darnold. I know he had a great year for the Vikings last year, but there was still a little bit of doubt.
Yes.
Because the Vikings had just been stacking 10-win season on 10-win season on 10-win season. And folks were like, okay, well, Sam Darnold, he fit the system well. We'll see what he does in Seattle. Is it that big of an upgrade on who was there? Was it Geno Smith? Is it that big of an upgrade on Geno Smith? Time will tell. Well, yes, he was. So that's a great story, but I think there's probably going to be some jealousy out there from NFL fans that have seen the quarterback they've picked up in free agency that they anoint as, oh, man, this guy, Case Keenum, he's going to be great. He's been a journeyman, yeah, but he looked really good last year. And it's actually worked out for the Seahawks.
It has. And it's the old adage, too, that if you can find the right guy with that certain skill set that fits in that system, they will excel. Because obviously, as you alluded to, that, the previous stops for Darnold, it didn't work out. But you saw a guy, especially when coming out of college, it just bountiful of talent. And, that's a great story what he's done. Unfortunately for Seattle, being tucked up there in the corner of the country, that no matter what it is, whether it's the Mariners or, when it was the Supersonics too, that there's just not that exposure, that it's almost like a forgotten, market of professional sports. And maybe that leads to, some of the reason why the Super Bowl has just kind of snuck up on us and is 3 days away. Because it seems like before every Super Bowl, because you have that 2-week buildup. We didn't have any games last week. They give you the 2 weeks off, not only to prepare, but to count, to get there and do the whole pomp and circumstance and the shows and stuff. But it doesn't seem like all of the media has just really captivated everybody that, hey, the Super Bowl is this Sunday. Are you ready? And, it's not hurting my feelings, but I can't remember the last time where, I wasn't really thinking about it every day in the buildup. And this one has just kind of been sneaking up there. I think it'll be a good game, but yeah, it's been kind of a weird lead up to the Super Bowl for me.
Another part of this, what superstar is playing in the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, you really can't, can you? Which
you can circle one in about every Super Bowl over the past. I mean, really, since the Patriots' decade of dominance started.
You could,
because Tom Brady was in most of these,
and maybe the Eagles didn't have the bona fide superstar, but they're going up against one, and as a team, that collective talent, they had some of the top guys at their respective positions per se.
They were a great story that postseason,
right?
Too. Yeah.
But this
then you've had all the Mahomes Super Bowls. I'm just trying to think back the last time there was a Super Bowl without star power, and this one seems to be a Super Bowl without star power.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe this game can create some star power. If Sam Darnold goes out and gets the win, he might be a star in the NFL next year. You say the same about Drake May, second-year quarterback, goes and gets a Super Bowl in year 2 for the Patriots, and you think, oh man, Patriots got themselves another quarterback. Maybe he turns into a superstar, but there's no superstars that I circle walking into this game.
And it is the consummate definition of team game, because the conversation we're having right now, that collectively as a group of 22, that these two respective teams have made this work from the beginning of the season to where they're at right now, without needing that guy that has the $500 million contract, or the guy that's on every shoe commercial that you see, or every fast food commercial that you may see. And that is simply amazing. The fact that we're going to have to get the average Super Bowl fan who might just be there for the chip and dip at the party they attend to and watch some of the game, to watch them have to get their phone out to pull up the rosters. To me, I love it. I absolutely love it that there's not 10 household names on there, or a tight end who's dating a super rock star. You always have those side stories too. This is just about two teams and what they've done on the field, with some guys who don't jump off of the, off of the paper at you. And I love it. Now, maybe the big media outlets don't, because you don't have those huge stories, but to the person that appreciates the game at its purity, I think you can find some definite appreciation in this matchup.
Let me ask you a few to switch gears here just a little bit. Super Bowl, obviously, it's a big social event.
Yes.
Can you draft me your top Super Bowl food options? Entree, 2 side dishes, a drink, and a dessert.
As far appetizer,
you can have an appetizer. Could be a side dish. I was thinking entree, 2 side dishes, a drink, and a dessert.
Boy, I didn't have time to think about this. This is gonna be right on the spot. So I know about an hour after our show is over, I'm going to want to text you and change my answer, and I won't be able to.
Well, I'll let you think for a second, because to me, the entree comes down to, are you going wings or are you going pizza? That to me is like a classic 2 options for a Super Bowl.
Well, how many are you providing for?
That's another factor. I'm just saying that what do you want to eat during the Super Bowl? This is not pick the perfect party. This is just pick the perfect plate.
The perfect plate? Well, to start with, you're going to need to get me some spinach and artichoke dip.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
I would love to start with the spinach and artichoke dip. That would usually be able to get me through the first quarter and a half, and depending on how much of that I eat. And I think maybe a lot of it might depend on the weather as well, too. If like Sunday, I think it's supposed to be like 60 here. Are we going to be able to fire up that grill and maybe have some grilled wings? Because my wife makes some killer wings, but I think what we have planned, and I don't mean to lead into what we have planned. Normally you think Super Bowl weather, cold and stuff. My wife is making homemade cinnamon rolls and some chili. So I guess we'll go into the entree and then maybe the dessert.
Oh, maybe I need to make chili for the Super Bowl. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't because like when you think Super Bowl, you're thinking usually wings, pizza's
Sure.
up there.
and to me, pizza might be if it's just maybe a handful of people, pizza would go. You start inviting 30 people over, that might get a little bit pricey.
Might get a little pricey, but also how much do you want to spend on wings? I'm trying to think what other entrees you can go with.
Well, there's a local big, huge store on the south side of town that you can get a big bag of frozen wings at a pretty decent cost.
Okay.
And that's what we do, and we grill them. I don't want to discount any other place here in Lincoln that may sell grilled wings, but my wife's are very good. It's a different animal when you grill those things.
Mm.
Boy, now I feel obligated to have our own party and have you over just to try my wife's cooking. I don't know if we should
I'll be there.
call her at the break and tell her, hey, guess what?
We got one more.
She'll like that.
I'll add, I think chips and guac. Chips and guac feels like a Super Bowl dish to me.
Well, and okay, let me ask you a question then. What is your ideal environment? I mean, for a Super Bowl party, do you like the social aspect of it almost being an opportunity to get together with maybe some couples, some friends that you don't get to see all throughout the year? Or is this, hey, this is the apex of the football season. Don't bother me. If you and Joe's wife want to talk about a sale at the local store and cut coupons, you guys go do that in the other room while me and Bill are going to be over here in the den because, number one, we want to watch the game. Secondly, I don't want you guys talking about all the cool commercials on Monday. And I say, I missed that one because so-and-so was talking. Do you like?
I don't want people I barely know. Good friends, hey, if they bring their significant other, they can go talk in the dining room or whatever.
But you pay
like
most of the attention to the game.
5 people in the living room watching the game is like a maximum good number. Because you can have some side conversations there with people you know well, but for the most part, I need the people locked in on the game. The game is the most important thing.
Because you'll have, I mean, the more people you get, it gets loud. All of a sudden, you find yourself talking to someone else, and then half a quarter's gone by. You look back over, oh, what's the score? What happened? And you're trying to play catch up.
I've had those. That's not good Super Bowl. And if it's my team playing,
then that ain't happening.
Lock me in a dark room by myself.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to have a party, I mean, it'll probably just be the family because fortunately, everyone in my household roots for the same team I do, so it makes it really easy. In fact, my 21-year-old daughter is probably the most diehard Cowboys fan in the house, so I don't have to worry about that.
Well, you don't have to worry about watching your team in a Super Bowl either.
But it's funny because you'll be at these parties and you have the people that are just yakking away, and then all of a sudden it's quiet, commercials are back on. Like they have got together on this Super Bowl Sunday just to be able to form an opinion at the water cooler about the commercials on Monday. Have you ever been to one of those?
Yeah, no.
That's crazy.
No.
That is absolutely crazy.
Not my type of Super Bowl party. I need like 4 or 5 of my boys around that all are locked in on the game. And I don't want anyone else disturbing my time watching the game. Like we can have some conversations during the game, but we're not going to miss the game. I need to catch up with somebody. The Super Bowl Sunday is not for catching up with somebody.
Not a time to catch up, huh?
No.
All right.
Anyway, that's where I'm at.
That's our take. So I think we'll take a break. I think when we come back, we'll touch a little bit about Nebraska had a signing day.
Yeah, well, signing day. We also got to hit Roger Craig at some point.
We'll talk Roger Craig.
Reports coming out of the Bay Area that he will be announced into the Hall of Fame at NFL Honors tonight. So we'll discuss that. We'll hit NBA trade deadline probably coming up an hour or two. So we got plenty of things to hit here. We also have Marco D'Angelo, wagertalk.com, coming away to get you some betting plays for Super Bowl Sunday. So that's all coming away in the morning hookup right here on KFOR. That's FM 101.5, 1240 AM, streaming online, KFORnow.com. I texted Hooksy to see if he wanted to check in from the hotel bar, and he has not sent me anything back.
Who was the quarterback that we got yesterday too?
We didn't end up getting.
He didn't come?
Viable. He ended up flipping to James Madison on signing day.
Oh, did he really? Okay. One of those recruiting day losses, huh?
He was an interesting one because he had like no recruiting attention. Nebraska found him, liked him, kind of more as an athlete than they're going to bring him in as a quarterback, but they liked his athleticism and the kind of the athlete nature that he could have been flexible down the road. And it sounds like James Madison came in and offered him financial incentives that he couldn't say no to.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah, that's one of those. Good for him. Hurts Nebraska didn't get a quarterback in this class, but you ended up getting Daniel Kalen back in, which almost feels like you did get one. So
I mean, you were the whole, the whole quarterback thing of 2026 was kind of muddled, and I mean, make no mistake, they've got their guy for 27, which I saw him. In fact, Xavier pointed him out in PBA. I don't know if they follow each other or something on Instagram or however that works, the kids do. Because Xavier kind of became friends with him when he came on one of his recruiting visits and stopped in at Best of Big Red, because him and Xavier obviously are the same age, both juniors in high school. And
weird to think about.
Yeah, isn't it? And Xavier said, yeah, Trey Taylor's here. Like, okay.
And he's the one.
The one to bring balance to the force?
Just the one that they have locked in as being the guy moving forward. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go as far as say he's the one to bring balance to the force, but he's the guy that they have circled as being the guy. All right, we are coming back. Welcome back into the morning hookup. It's Elijah Herbal and Steve Malone with you on a Thursday morning. I need to get into here. NBA trade deadline. We've got reports coming out on Roger Craig, but it was February signing day yesterday, which is not what it used to be.
It's not.
I miss what it used to be.
Up until about 5 years ago, I would put in a float vacation day for the first Wednesday of every February. Whether we were going to end up having a good class or not, and I would sit around for literally 8 hours, probably flipping back and forth between about 3 channels,
ESPN,
and I would follow National Recruiting Signing Day to see what schools were getting the talent. And this is before NIL and the portal, where you were kind of prognosticating on which teams were going to be good.
And signing day was it was a make or break day for your class, because so many guys waited till signing day to make their decision because they knew hey, I get on ESPN, I get on ESPNU, I get my decision made live, I'll get that interview.
You get the hat, the big hat pulling out thing.
This is your chance to announce yourself to the college football world. So many of those guys in the top 50 would wait until signing day. That signing day, it would make or break a class for a team like Florida State or Alabama or whatever power you're thinking of. Signing day was the day that determined, did you have an A+ class or did you have a B- class?
And you would sit there on pins and needles, knowing that quarterback Holiday got it down to Nebraska and Notre Dame. Is this going to be?
And they're both fighting for him up until the minute that the cameras go live, and he's sitting in front of that desk with the 2 hats in front of him.
And then when he chooses Notre Dame, and you're throwing the remote across the room, because there was times where I got really excited when we would be in the running for one of those recruits and they would choose Nebraska, and then I saw it go the other way as well. And obviously with the early signing period now in December, it's taken a lot of the luster off of what we would call the traditional signing day. That doesn't mean that there aren't some recruits still out there, or some kids that wait to decide. Obviously, if you're not an early enrollee, and you don't really know where you're going yet, maybe some coaching changes. There are some players that hold off till the traditional signing day. I don't believe last year we signed anyone on the February signing day, to my recollection, off the top of my head. This year, a little bit different.
Yeah. And there was some intrigue. The kind of the types of guys that are signing on February signing day now are guys whose recruitment, for whatever reason, kind of fell apart right before the December signing day, whether it be teams saw how their season went and they were circling some needs in the transfer portal, and they were looking at a high school guy and saying, all right, we just don't have room for you right now. Don't have room for you anymore. Or recruiting things changed behind the scenes and they flipped some guy from another school. And now, hey, there's no room for you in our class anymore. Sorry, but just it's not going to work out for us anymore. So now you're left scrambling 3 days before the early signing day, and guys decommit and they take their commitment out. Or there is guys that their recruitment picked up late. They had a great senior season. They start getting some interest late, and they said, okay, well, my options changed from Division II schools to now I got Power 4 schools in the fold for me, and I can't decide in just a week here. I'm going to take this out till February.
Right.
And Nebraska had one of each of those types of guys yesterday.
Yeah.
You start with Dylan Berryman. He's the guy that was committed to Texas all the way almost up until signing day. Texas made some flips in the defensive line room. Didn't seem like there was really room for him anymore. Texas kind of stopped communicating with him, generally speaking, and he got the message and said, okay, well, you guys have made some flips. There's not room for me here anymore. I need to evaluate my options. Nebraska was on him hot and heavy from early December on, knowing that they needed a defensive tackle in their recruiting class. And credit to Nebraska, they get that one over the line. Florida seemed like they were the next school to look out for him. And then I think it was academic issues.
Yeah, because he had a tentative visit scheduled for last weekend to Florida.
And it sounds like Florida didn't realize they weren't going to be able to get him.
Right. Different schools have different
academic,
that you need to.
And then the other school is Kentucky. Because Kentucky made a late push after the Florida deal kind of fell apart.
This, from what I have heard, if you were to go back, let's say, just even a week ago today, that most of your crystal balls and the pundits that
seemed obvious,
like they seemed like a lock, and just listening to what some of the folks have said, that this kind of came down to the 23rd hour of Kentucky really kind of putting a scare in Nebraska and making a late push. And I tell you what, Kentucky has really kind of been just a pain in the backside on a few of our recruits. The quarterback, you had Minshew, lost him to him, and I know Wandale Robinson went home, but
that's kind of the other way around, where he was committed to Kentucky and then Nebraska flipped him right before that.
And we went and stole their wide receiver coach and Dane Key too. So I'm sure, I don't know, quietly, I think Kentucky is becoming maybe a recruiting rival here. But Dylan Berryman, 6'3", 330 pounds. And what I like about this is I think it's been well noted that Nebraska is really looking to kind of redefine our defensive line. And you saw us go out and get a few guys in the portal. The established defensive tackles that are in the portal either don't exist or they come with a huge, huge price tag, and everybody's going to want them. What's great about this is you're bringing in a guy who's 6'3", 330 pounds that you don't know how much he's going to contribute, obviously, as a true freshman. And, the term redshirting anymore is basically out the window. You play every season like it's your last. But it'll be get him a few snaps in every game.
Body-wise, he's got the frame to play early in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Now, strength and conditioning-wise, that remains a question. We don't know how it's going to look, and he's going to have a short time on campus to try to get his body right and be ready for football in the fall. But this is a guy that you bring in with intents to get on the field in 2026.
Right. And they might find some packages.
I'm not sure it's going to be a 35, 40 snaps a game type of guy, but if you can get 5 to 10 snaps a game, what essentially Nebraska got from Gabe Moore last year. They're getting 5 to 10 snaps from Gabe Moore. He sounds like he needed a little bit of work conditioning and strength wise, but he was just a load on the inside. And he was, I think, Nebraska's most likely candidate to command a double team last year whenever he was on the field. You're getting 5, 10 snaps from him. He's going to need to step that workload up. And I think that's what you bring Perryman in for, is the potential to be a 5 to 10 snaps a game, rotational piece. Hey, we need to go big package on third and short. We're going to send him into the football game. That's kind of the feel that you have that Nebraska wants from him in 2026.
And I think also just the fact that you now have a quality 4-star defensive lineman in your program that you're going to be able to develop, not have to worry, in a year or two of, well, maybe you will, of the constant having to shop for these guys out there in the portal with a huge price tag. Now you've got him in there at, whatever the price tag was, you're able to develop him, and you take him, if you're able to bring him up through your pipeline, with a new defensive coordinator and that staff, and tag him along with Tyson Terry, Malcolm Simpson, two other very young defensive tackle types that, in a couple of years, that's the future of your defensive line.
Yep.
And I like how that looks. Obviously, you'll have some more that you'll be able to recruit from there. But when you're able to home grow these guys and then keep them and not have to worry about the anxiety of trying to go out and compete monetarily against other schools for established defensive tackles, because that's a difficult game to play. It really is.
And let it be known why I think so many people, and I think the staff included, have him circle as a guy that can contribute early. He steps in as a true freshman. Now, I know some of the weights listed online are approximations a little bit or close to this weight, but he steps in as your heaviest player. And whenever you watch his high school highlight, this is not a lumbering load. He was back in high school, he'd line up in fullback, and he was the lead blocker on goal line plays for his high school football team. He caught a touchdown last year, lined up from the tight end spot. He's not your 330-pound waddles around the field type of player. He's a 330-pound athlete. And that's why he gets circled as being a guy that can come in and contribute early. Now, again, strength and conditioning, I think there's always going to be a different level between college or high school and college, I should say. But that's why you hear all these, okay, this is a guy that could potentially come in and contribute early. It's him at 330 pounds, and then your transfer offensive lineman, Tree Babalade, are your two heaviest players on roster.
Well, and I think another gentleman in the signing class, Claude Mpuma, I want to say they had him listed at about 340. So he could be there also. But Elijah,
is that heavy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like the fact that you had me there at the lead blocker, maybe catching that touchdown pass. Obviously you saw a little bit of that with Ty Robinson from a year ago, maybe not catching the touchdown pass, but I'll bring you back visions of Ndamukong Suh. Remember when he was used as a lead blocker on some goal line packages just because of his athleticism at that size. They even rewarded him with a touchdown pass as well too. Not making that comparison, but it's nice to know that you have a youngster in the defensive line room who is a great ball of clay that you'll be able to mold and get a lot out of him. Ranked 124th, I think, in the composite rankings. He was the highest ranked player still available on the board that hadn't signed in the early signing period. So that is definitely obviously a win for Nebraska because we talked about the Kentucky, but there were some other offers out there, and for Nebraska to be able to go out and not only fill a need at defensive tackle, but to be able to beat other schools for the best available player. I like how that looked because the optics are people are going to look at Nebraska's signing class and it's not going to be ranked very high. And of course that's simply going to be, we took a small class. We went, we filled needs. You have the roster limitations that are going to be, obviously, over time, it's going to be grandfathered down to 105, so there wasn't a huge need, and people will point at that it wasn't ranked very high. But if you look at some of the individual pieces in that class as a whole, whether it be a 5-star DB in Danny Odom or a tight end who I think probably might see the field as a true freshman in Luke Sorensen, I like what Nebraska did.
I'll get just 1 second here. What's interesting, Mpuma listed at 338 according to 24/7.
Okay.
On Nebraska's official roster, he's listed at 260.
260.
So I say sometimes you have to take the rosters with a grain of salt with what heights and weights are listed at because they are approximations. But
that's a 78-pound disparity.
Yeah,
I could see if one said 340 and the other said 310, but 338. I mean, and that's 338 doesn't sound like an approximation. That's an exact number. That's not rounded.
But the athletes themselves are also the ones that are going and putting in information in terms of how much what's your height, what's your weight. So I don't know. We'll see. And I don't think that Nebraska's probably taken weights. They probably pulled it off of somewhere. And I know he spent a lot of time through last summer and even into this fall during his season trying to put on weight and get himself ready for college football. So there's a chance he could be over 300 pounds now. The last time they took an official weight on him, he was 260. I don't know, but
that might have been 8th grade.
It's an interesting. There's some disparity there. So we'll see what that ends up being once like end of spring football rolls around. What's he actually listed at? But you talk about the fact that with the smaller class, you're going and filling needs. That's how I'm evaluating this class in terms of success. Is how many guys are within their first 2 years getting snaps in on the 2 deep, because that's what recruiting is now in college football. There's so few guys that wait in the wings for 4 years and then they get their one redshirt senior year where they go out and can contribute. That's not really how college football works. If you're not in the field as a skill position guy, within the first 2 years as a line of scrimmage guy within your first 3 years. If you're not contributing or on the two deep, those guys tend to be out the door.
Sure.
So with a small class like this, where you were targeting needs, I mean, I think we talked about this yesterday on the Average Joe Sports Show. I got 4 guys that I have circled as being guys that could come in and contribute as true freshmen. Because I have Danny Odom.
Yes.
I think he steps in. They're expecting him to be a starting corner next year. I think he's a true freshman.
I think he starts opposite Marshall.
Yeah, that's
hands down.
That's the vision I have, because you look at their secondary, they have targeted taller secondary members for next season, and he steps in at 6'1". So him, Jones, and Marshall are 3 guys at the corner spot that all kind of body wise are similar. They're going to be that taller, more physical cornerback. So I have him circled as being a guy that, whether he's true opposite or whether he's that guy that comes in and plays in more of a nickel spot, he's going to be playing next year. So I have him circled.
Yes.
And Puma needs some seasoning, so I don't have him circled.
Offensive linemen are tough.
Yeah, that's why you give the extra year in my eyes, 3 years for offensive linemen. But then Sorensen.
Yes,
easily. That's a guy that steps in, I think, immediately as your best blocking tight end. And that's what the kind of the view from the staff is as well, is they really think they can get some big snaps out of him in key moments, whether you're going big packages, goal line, 3rd and short. He's the guy you bring in that is just an extra load.
250, 255.
And I think they're going to expect to put on weight
he's coming in kind of chiseled already, which you don't see out of true freshmen. And it's also, I think that's a position of opportunity.
Yeah.
Just because of numbers, you have different body types there. Lindenmeyer, more of your line of scrimmage. Carter Nelson may be more of a, streak down the field, smaller type of tight end. Yeah, obviously Luke Sorensen could definitely get a lot of snaps getting in there early.
And we talked about Berryman, so I won't rehash all of that, why we think he can play early. The last one I have circled is Larry Miles.
Absolutely.
And I circle him because he feels like the wide receiver that steps in, that though he is not Ja'Cory Barney, he steps in as a guy that can do a lot of the same things that Ja'Cory Barney can do.
Yes.
And I don't think you have another guy like that on roster.
No,
that's why I have him circled.
As far as just the speed,
yeah,
because
a limited snap, the type of guy that come in to get 5 offensive snaps a game
and help out with the returns and special teams as well.
Yeah, so those are the 4 guys that I have circled as being potential key contributors right away.
You know what? And you know what's weird? You had that's probably the exact same 4 I had. Exact.
And if you can get that'd be 4 of your. Okay, I was going to say 12. 11, because we'll get into the viable situation here in just a second. But 4 of your 11 guys on the field as true freshmen. And if you can get a few more of those guys playing by year 2, which I'd circle Jamal Rule, I'd circle Claude and Puma as being guys that could potentially contribute as redshirt freshmen, you're looking good in the class. Not to mention Nayland Scott's another guy, a big-bodied wide receiver. That room's a bit crowded, but they like what they have in him as well.
Right. No, they went out and they filled the needs, and the offensive linemen that they brought in, there is the expectation that you're going to have the development, but your skill players like Larry, Miles and things like that, there is the opportunity to get out there. While you may have a loaded wide receiver room, you also have a lot of the bigger, taller type of outside targets, like a Quinn Clark, something like that. But to have another Ja'Cory Barney, where you have that shorter, just the jitterbug slot type of receiver, I think that's going to allow him to get out there early as well.
Last thought here in recruiting, we do need to talk about Viable.
All right.
Because this was a weird situation yesterday. Nebraska was late to the party. It was after early signing day that they offered him. I think he had offers from the likes of Army and maybe Temple.
That's a quarterback
from Vegas. But he kind of burst onto the scene his senior year. Real good athlete. He can pick him up and put him down. He's got some wheels.
True dual threat.
In terms of arm talent, I think he was more of a running threat than a threat through the air, but there was development potential there. You could see that he had some arm strength. He had some accuracy. Wasn't asked to do it a whole bunch in high school, but he kind of burst onto the scene. Nebraska offers him, and then late coming to the party, right before signing day, was James Madison. And from what I understand on this, Nebraska had a scholarship for him. In terms of financial NIL behind the scenes, there was very little. Right. James Madison came in, offered him some more money, offered him a scholarship. Financially, and in terms of early playing time, made more sense for him to go to James Madison. And it was an offense that did seem to fit him well. So he takes that opportunity on signing day, but it was a late, weird. James Madison was real late to the party.
Yes.
They needed a quarterback. They were real late to the party.
Hey,
And they-
who's Nebraska recruiting?
Yeah, they
Let's
made
go
it.
pillage their person.
They made a financial offer. It sounds like that he just could not refuse.
Well, that's good too.
So
I
he
mean,
makes the late flip.
you know, you coming in and automatically you're
Hey,
going to be starting at fourth on the depth chart. When he would have been a great depth piece for us that brought just a totally different skill set than what we have. But
Nebraska loved the athletic profile in terms of if it didn't work out for him at quarterback, especially once Trey Taylor came in, they could try him out at some different positions and see where he stuck because he was that good of an athlete. But this is a situation that feels like a signing day of old, where here comes some school late to the party offering a bag of cash, and you have to say, okay, well.
Yeah, but usually those schools weren't named James Madison.
Welcome.
You got beat out for recruit by James Madison.
Welcome to the new era,
I guess. Boy, their NL package is getting up there. So, yeah, Nebraska loses out. But obviously, I think with how that all transpired, Nebraska is going to be pretty, you know, we'd have talked about this a couple months ago. We were in kind of dire straits on what that quarterback room would look like. I think we can all sleep a little bit easier. Is that that's going to look pretty good. Nebraska not able to get that fourth guy in. Break time.
It is break time.
It is break time.
I'm still waiting to hear if Hooksy's going to join us from the hotel bar.
All right.
The airport bar.
We'll see if we can round up. He's maybe a Crown and Diet in or whatever Hooksy does at 10 in the morning.
If we don't get Hooksy, we got a great topic coming on the other side. Talk Roger Craig.
Roger Craig.
Reports out there that he's going to be inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. About damn time. We'll get into that after the break. Also, I need Hooksy to respond because as of this morning, we have a big old spreadsheet. Oh. I also needed Hooksy to respond because as of this morning, we have a big old spreadsheet of a whole bunch of different phone numbers of folks. And I've gotten locked out of that for some reason this morning. So in order to get Marco on the line, we're going to need Hooksy to respond.
Oh.
Yeah,
you don't have that, huh?
I had it for like 8 years. And for some reason, I've been locked out. It says I no longer have access.
Really?
I'm not sure if I'm getting fired after the show or what, but that Impuma thing is just how different the weight number is for him.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Oh, he got back to me. He said, sorry, flight got a little crazy. I'll send Marco stuff over. Ooh, I got a song. Well, Zeppelin to lead us back in here. Do you know the song? You name this
I am terrible with their song.
That's fine.
Because
it's fitting for the thing that helps.
Sure, like the title of a lot of their songs sometimes don't really. A lot of times you hear in the lyrics of a song, the title of it, like their song "Fool in the Rain." I don't know that they say "Fool in the Rain" the entire 6 minutes of that song. So
I think they say this title once.
do they?
This is going to California.
Okay.
And why we're
That's
a
all right.
fitting intro song because we're going out to the Bay Area right now. We're going to talk Roger Craig. This has been something Husker fans and 49ers fans and NFL fans have campaigned for a long time. And the reports are to be believed, which it seems like this is now an open secret among the NFL circles. Everyone who both covers the NFL and used to play in the NFL, it sounds like he has gotten the official word and the news is spreading that Roger Craig will be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2026.
And I think a lot of that clamoring comes from, and maybe I don't have the year right, maybe it was 1985-ish.
The 1,000
1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving.
It was 85.
It wasn't? Okay. So my memory serves me well once in a while. That, that was unheard of. And he was the do everything back. Maybe not 2,000 yards rushing, but they could, give him the ball at the line of scrimmage. He could go out on those screen passes. And it wasn't on just an ordinary team either. This was like the 49ers of the 80s with Joe Montana, with Jerry Rice. And Roger Craig was your staple in that backfield that got you to where that team went. And
I think maybe this is from a younger perspective. 1,000 was unheard of at the time, and it's still a very small select group of people who have done it to this point. You have Roger Craig, Marshall Faulk, Christian McCaffrey. That might be it.
Yes.
There's maybe one more in there that I'm forgetting about, but those like the three names that stand out. What's even more spectacular to me about that 85 season, he led the entire NFL in receptions. Every wide receiver out there, every tight end out there, every running back out there. He led the entire NFL in total receptions. He had 93 that season. Best in the NFL from the running back spot in 1985. That's the stat that stands out to me is in terms of wow. And 1,000 is wow. But to lead the league in the receptions as a running back in the 80s, that's one of those okay, you're never going to see that again.
Yeah, but got Roger Craig in 85, Marshall Faulk in 99, and McCaffrey in 2019.
That's an exclusive.
It's those three.
That's an exclusive.
So he was the first.
And how early he did that as well, how the game was played. I know Walsh came in and kind of changed the game just a little bit, but that's still.
Well, you had that was the invention of the West Coast offense.
Shout out Mike Riley.
Yes. And
shout out Bill Callahan.
On a team where you had, other receiving options like John Taylor and Jerry Rice, the fact that Joe Montana went to his check down in his outlet for Roger Craig to be able to get those records with over 1,000 yards receiving and all the receptions that he had, that made that team just so hard to defend. And if I remember correctly, did they beat the Bengals that year in the Super Bowl? Or was that maybe that was 82 where they beat the Bengals?
Yeah, 85. I think they got bounced in the divisional. I think.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I think you just look at the guys.
Yeah, because the Bears won it in 85. Or was that 86?
Yeah, 85.
Okay.
But I just to me look at the guys on those 49ers teams of the 80s that led them to their dominance. And everyone that's not named Roger Craig is in the hall already.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Montana's in the hall. Jerry Rice is in the hall. Ronnie Lott's in the hall. The coach Bill Walsh is in the hall. Like the names that you think of when you think of the 80s and early 90s 49ers teams, they're all in the Hall of Fame except for Roger Craig. So it's a well-deserved honor.
And you wonder what took them so long. Because and I think that's where you see, and maybe you know this too. I mean, you have your reasons for being a Broncos fan, but a lot of the people my age, maybe a little bit older, especially my father and people like that, you saw a lot of gravitation locally to being a 49ers fan, not only because of Roger Craig, but when you throw in another native Nebraskan from Grand Island, Tom Rathman, in that same backfield, that, hey, this, we don't, I know everyone knows this, we don't have a professional team here, but that was something that Nebraska fans could, hitch their wagon to. You got two Nebraska backfield guys in your backfield on a team that's one of the more dominating ones in the NFL. I'm getting on. And still this day, you talk to people and they'll tell you that, why are you a 49ers fan? Well, back in the 80s, they had Tom Rathman and Roger Craig. And so that's why you see a lot of clamoring, obviously, from Nebraska fans who are very knowledgeable and maybe more appreciative than the voters on what an accomplishment that was to get both 1,000 yards, receiving and rushing.
Well, I have friends my age. They're 49ers fans. Why are you 49ers fans? Well, my dad was a 49ers fan. Why is he a 49ers fan? I don't really know, actually, now I think about it.
Now you know why.
It's Roger Craig and Tom Rathman. And that, I think you could also make an argument that the free advertisement they provided in the 80s for the University of Nebraska probably helped out in the 90s run Nebraska went on too. Is that too much of a stretch? Every single Sunday, you're turning on the TV, and here's your free advertisement for Husker football with Tom Rathman and Roger Craig.
I don't think it hurt.
No, I don't think it hurt. It might be a stretch. Maybe it's something we can look into. You got to go back and talk to the old 90s Huskers.
And watching Roger Craig when he was here at Nebraska, because I was 8 or 9, in the backfield. He didn't wear 33. He actually wore number 21 at that time. And, he was great here. And I was like, that guy's going to go on and do special things. And of course,
he even took a back seat to Rozier as well.
Well, and he was a little bit older. And then once, obviously, when he was gone, then it was Rozier's time to take over and start the long stretch of IBAC-U. But he did some special things when he was here at Nebraska, and it was great to see him, have the success he did at the NFL level to bring the attention to Nebraska. And this does actually come to fruition and get in. It's long deserved.
Oh,
so
absolutely, and it's exciting. I will say, because in the category he was competing in, you also had Bill Belichick, you also had Robert Kraft, and if those two guys got snubbed for Roger Craig, I say good. I say good.
Oh, well, I see who we're rooting for this Sunday, aren't we?
Hey, this is not anti-Patriots. This is pro Roger Craig.
There you go. We'll look at it like that.
This guy has been waiting for years. It has been well beyond time that Roger Craig should be in the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick, I know you were first ballot guy, and a lot of people thought you were first ballot Hall of Famer. A lot of folks in the NFL don't like Bill Belichick, and he'll get in eventually. I think getting a good guy in with Roger Craig and a guy that's been waiting for a long time was the right thing to go and do. That's my opinion.
I agree.
So that'll do it for us here in hour 1 of the morning hookup on the Thursday. Bill Hooks, he's on his way down to Texas for some golf. It's funny, he left during the best weekend of winter golf thus far in Nebraska. Beautiful weather expected today, but Hooksy's off to Texas. It's Stu Malone sitting in with me, Elijah Herbal. We did get the number. We'll have Marco D'Angelo joining us after the break. WagerTalk.com getting us some plays from the Super Bowl. Also coming up in hour 2, we'll talk some NBA trade deadline. Fill up the coffee. Don't go anywhere. The morning hookup's back with more in a few.
Live, local, in our community. The KFOR Sportscasters Club has long been a supporter of young athletes and academics in Lincoln and Lancaster County. Follow your favorite team on air and online at KFORnow.com. Powered by Lincoln Electric System and Forsyth Insurance. Stay connected to Lincoln and Lancaster County High School athletics on FM 101.5, 1240 AM KFOR.
The bakers of Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads are proud to support local education with Loaves for Learning, the program that makes it easy to earn money for your school. Enjoy Country Hearth and Village Hearth all-natural breads, buns, bagels, and more. Then save the UPC from the package for your school to collect and redeem. Each is worth 5 cents and can be used for books, computers, sports, music, whatever your school needs. Up to $10,000 a year. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. Country Hearth and Village Hearth breads, baking our best for you.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable.
IT?
Yeah. Even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you can start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Potential aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. The search for Today host Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother Nancy is intensifying, with Guthrie, her sister, and brother posting a tearful video overnight, a plea to whoever has her.
We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
ABC's Aaron Katursky is in Tucson with the latest.
The sheriff here has said he believes that Nancy Guthrie is alive. He has offered no suspects, though, in connection with her disappearance. The video is an invitation to negotiate. Savannah Guthrie and her siblings want proof their mother is alive and to find out what it will take to get her back.
Police acknowledging that ransom notes have been sent, but they have not been authenticated. About 250 miles from Tucson, a police helicopter crashed overnight, killing the pilot and an officer paramedic on board. The chopper had been assisting an active shooter case. Nuclear talks between Iran and the U.S. taking place in Oman beginning tomorrow as President Trump continues his threats following the bloody crackdown on protesters. ABC's Ian Pannell with more from the foreign desk.
These are very important talks. The president certainly taking him at face value seems serious that there has to be a deal. Otherwise, there will be military action. And he's pretty much been reinforcing that message even over the last day or two.
The president at the National Prayer Breakfast this morning talking about his recent comment that he probably won't get into heaven.
I was just having fun. I really think I probably should make it. I mean, I'm not a perfect candidate, but I did a hell of a lot of good for perfect people. That's for sure.
A blast of brutally cold air headed to the northeast this weekend. The temperature plus wind could make things dangerous in places like Syracuse, even New York City. 231,000 Americans applying for first-time unemployment benefits last week. You're listening to ABC News.
We'll admit, we've already thrown in the towel on the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, and we made it through dry January. But one healthy new habit we're sticking with is Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to help protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Yup, more energy and the peace of mind knowing we can enjoy the good things in life while giving our liver the love it needs.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans. And now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
A house fire in central Lincoln. Good morning. I'm Jeff Modes. 43 degrees at KFOR. Lincoln firefighters got a knockdown on a house fire at 30th and Dudley within 20 minutes after being called shortly before 9 o'clock this morning. LFR Public Information Officer MJ Learman told KFOR News at the scene smoke and flames were showing from the back.
The fire was in the basement but extended up through into the attic space.
One person was taken to the hospital. Their condition is not known, but it may have been precautionary. No word yet on the cause or damage amount. Video of the fire scene is up with this story at KFORnow.com and on our social media channels. Lincoln police are back out this morning searching again for the bodies of 26-year-old Hannah Neville and 27-year-old Roberto Tanner of Stromsburg, who are presumed to be dead after they were apparently shot by 24-year-old Sterling James of Lincoln last month. Investigators have been searching in areas northwest of Wahoo and Saunders County and other areas of Lancaster County. Nebraska lawmakers today are debating a bill that failed to advance last year but would limit minimum wage increases in Nebraska after voters approved of a wage increase in 2022. LB 258 from Lincoln Senator Jane Raybould, which failed to advance last year, is back this year. It would limit future voter-approved increases to the state's minimum wage by capping annual growth at 1.75% instead of tying the increases to cost of living. Lincoln Senator Danielle Conrad talked to KFOR News in an interview before the start of this year's session and said that LB 258 would make it harder for working families to keep their heads above water.
Not rocket science in the middle of an affordability crisis. We shouldn't be cutting, capping, carving up, and restraining modest increases in the minimum wage.
Under the bill, LB 258 would have the wage reach $16 an hour by 2031, $17 by 2035, and also allow a lower training wage for workers younger than 16, starting at $13.50 an hour and rising 1.5% annually. Lincoln's first forecast today will be mostly sunny with a high of 61. Clear sky tonight, a low of 36. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a high of 50. Right now, 43 in Lincoln. I'm Jeff Modes, KFOR News.
This Valentine's Day, create a space that feels warm and welcoming with help from Menards. Whether it's a small refresh or a big project, Menards has the tools and materials you need. Build something together and make your home a place you both love coming back to. Don't forget the sweets for your sweetheart. Get a 6-ounce bag of Russell Stover chocolate candies for $3.99 now through February 14th. Save big money and finish your projects together at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Back at it Friday on KFOR, Schmidt, Carol, and Jeff.
Hoping for a break in the Nancy Guthrie case. Immigration tap down. Is it happening? Epstein victims are speaking out and preparing to take action.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome back into the Morning Hookup. It is hour 2. Elijah Herbal and P. Malone taking you through the show today, and time to head out to sunny Las Vegas. I guess I can't confirm it's sunny right now. I just assume that it's always sunny out there. But it's always sunny when the bets are hitting. And we'll see if Marco's got some plays for us this weekend. We welcome in Marco D'Angelo, wagertalk.com. Marco, it's a big weekend, one of the biggest sports betting weekends of the year. Super Bowl Sunday is on the way. How are you doing?
Doing good, and yes, I can confirm it is sunny today, and we've been in the low 70s the last few days, so a lot better than most of the country.
Can you believe it's supposed to be 60 degrees in Lincoln, Nebraska today?
That's unusual for this time of the year, for sure.
Yes, it is. And Hooksy, seeing the weather this weekend, I'm not sure he had this planned for a while, decided to hit the road. He's down to Texas for a golf trip. You could have had golf weather here in Lincoln.
You could have, but, I got a question. Who takes a golf trip on Super Bowl week? Come on.
Yeah, in hindsight.
Well, it's not only is it Super Bowl week for him, it's also Duke, North Carolina.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know why he picked this weekend of all weekends, but he's missing his Carolina Tar Heels against Duke, and then he's also missing the Super Bowl because he's going to be flying back on Sunday evening.
We're going to have to question maybe revoking his man card. I'm not sure.
So Marco D'Angelo with us here at wagertalk.com, getting you some plays for the Super Bowl. And Marco, as you look at this matchup, we talked back in hour 1, in terms of national media intrigue, there doesn't seem to be as much this year as your average Super Bowl. There is always money to be made. What do you like about this game?
Yeah, and, that's been the narrative, is this one of those, sexy Super Bowl matchups? And obviously it's not. You don't have the star power. You think about when the season started. Who were all of the teams that we were talking about? Was Philadelphia going to repeat? Kansas City, were they going to bounce back? Was this the year that, Josh Allen in Buffalo would finally break through? Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. None of the main, characters are here. And honestly, they all made early exits, the ones that did make the playoffs. So it's a, crazy Super Bowl, but you know what? It doesn't matter who it is. It's going to get bet. And more guys, we talk about the game. The game ends up being secondary to everything else because, it is the game and you're going to bet, New England or you're going to bet Seattle. But if you talk to any bookmaker in town, sports book director, they're going to tell you that, and it increases every year, 60% or more of the total handle will be on prop bets. And we'll talk about some prop bets, at the end. But when you talk about craziness for Las Vegas and, how busy it is, this is the second biggest sporting event that Vegas, as far as handle and popularity and the people betting. Now, you would think that the Super Bowl would be number one. It is heavily bet, don't get me wrong, but that first 4 days of March Madness, is the number one for total handle because you got 4 days of nonstop action. It starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and doesn't end, until 9 p.m. at night, Vegas time. So that's the time. And if I got to say, if you want to plan a guy's trip and you want a bucket list, the two are Super Bowl week and, of course, March Madness. But for this game itself, guys, We have a total, and it's pretty much been holding steady. We've seen some 5s pop up, but 4.5's been the consensus number with it, and the over-under's been sitting at 45.5. Now, we have a little bit of a difference on the money line. If you don't want to bet the point spread, you can bet the money line. And the money line here in Vegas, you can get Seattle at a low of -220 to a high of -240. And the only reason I'm bringing that up to you guys is the one book that has it at -220 is trying to get some Seattle action. They need some Seattle action to kind of balance their book, so to speak. And why I say that is, and I'm talking about Circa Sports downtown Las Vegas. It's one of the bigger sports books. It's considered a sharp sports book where they got some big action, but they're on the hook for a couple bets on this game before we even got started. Way back at the beginning of the season, you could have bet a wager that was called the Super Bowl Exacta. And what you had to do was pick the two teams that would be playing in the Super Bowl along with the winner. It's just like betting an exacta in horse racing, picking the two that are going to finish 1-2. Well, there was a bet at the beginning of the year. Somebody did take Seattle and New England in the Super Bowl with New England winning the Super Bowl. If New England wins on Sunday, that $100 bet, that's all he bet wagered was $100, but the odds on that was plus 3,100. Guy's going to walk away with a cool $310,000 for a $100 bet. It's not a bad day's work. And to make matters worse, one of the first bets that Circa took when they opened the line on the Super Bowl was a $1.1 million money line bet on New England, which would return $2 million. So Circa, that's why their line is lower, trying to get some more money on Seattle to help balance the books a little bit. For me, guys, breaking this down, I've been on Seattle all year. I like this team. This defense is absolutely elite. And I know in the last couple of weeks, there's, people are saying, well, look how many points they gave up to the Rams. The Rams are, a different animal as far as offensive talent. And they're a division rival. You play each other twice a year, and this year you played 3 times. You know each other well. You know where to attack, where not to attack. And if you look at the last 10 games of the season for Seattle, any team not named the LA Rams, only one team has gone over 17 points against this defense this year. A lot has been made about the New England schedule. And, and I've been one of them. And it's kind of, when you get later in the season, it's kind of unfair to keep bringing up the schedule because they can only play who they have on the schedule. And the thing about New England is, yes, they've played a softer schedule. There's no question about that. But they took care of business in doing so. It's not like they just got by playing a soft schedule. But this is Drake May's first Super Bowl, and it's also Sam Darnold's, but at least Sam Darnold has been in the league for some time, and he's played for 5 different teams in 5 different years. It's a great story for him. I like Seattle. The first wager I'm going to give you is Seattle -3 first half wager. And that's because of the fact we're talking about New England and a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to keep things a little conservative starting with this game because you don't want to make that first mistake. And I think Seattle, with their running game and having the veteran quarterback, I think they get off to the quicker start. Now, for the game, the 4.5, I still like Seattle, but I got a different way to bet this game if you don't want to lay the points with Seattle and you don't want to lay -220 on a money line. If Seattle wins this game, more than likely, the MVP is going to be one of 2 players. It's going to be Sam Darnold, or it's going to be the Seattle wide receiver.
Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, thank you. But if it is one of those 2 guys for Seattle, you can pick up Seattle and Sam Darnold at +130 for MVP. The wide receiver, you can pick him up at 5-1. Some places have it 5.5-1. So I'm going to take Seattle in Darnold for MVP. I'll probably put like 1.5 units on him, and then I'll put a half a unit on Jigma for the 5-1. And one of those two guys most likely will be the MVP. If you look at the history of the Super Bowl, in the last 16 Super Bowls, the quarterback has won the MVP in 12 of the last 16 Super Bowls. So it's an alternative way to bet Seattle to win the game and have a wager where you're getting plus money instead of laying 220. So a lot of different ways to do that, guys. I like Seattle in this one with that defense. I think New England's going to have problems moving the football. And, again, not to pick on them, but look at the breaks they caught in the 3 games during the playoffs, because everybody says, well, they won all 3 of their playoff games. They caught the Chargers with a banged-up offensive line. Justin Herbert had no time to throw in that game. In the second game, they played in bad weather in New England. You had a Houston team that was an indoor team playing outdoors, and you had C.J. Stroud that I don't know that there's been a quarterback that has played as bad as C.J. Stroud played in the 2 games that he played in the playoffs against the Steelers and against New England. And then, of course, we all know last week you caught a quarterback because Bo Nix got hurt in Jason Stidham that hadn't played in 2 years. And then the weather in the second half of that game, nobody could move the football. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. I like Seattle in this one. Give me Seattle first half. Give me Seattle many different ways for the full game. And my projection on the game is for them to win the game 27-17.
Yeah.
It's Marco D'Angelo with us here, wagertalk.com, getting you some plays from the Super Bowl. And Marco, before we get into some potential props to bet this weekend, I do have to ask the question here. We talk a lot about how sharps get in early and then the general public tends to get in late. Does that still hold true for the Super Bowl? And as a follow-up to that, is there benefit to betting now versus betting come Sunday morning? How does that work with a Super Bowl in terms of when folks get in?
All right, if you're betting props, this is your tip. If you're betting props and you want to bet anything to the over, you want to bet it early because the public hasn't got here yet. As I said, this is the second biggest tourist sporting event in Vegas. They'll start arriving in town tonight and tomorrow. And when they come to town, they're going to be betting. And what they bet is they're going to be betting on all the props. They bet the overs. Nobody's flying to Vegas to sit here and watch no scores. Okay? They want to have action. So what happens is the sharps bet, if they like the over, they're betting it early. And what happened last week, they came out with the prop bets on Wednesday night, the big book here in Las Vegas, the Westgate. They put up their props. They have over 500 props you can bet on the Super Bowl. And the way they do it, it's actually an event. All the sharps are in town. They line up at the Westgate on that Wednesday night as they unveil the board. They get in line. They can only bet 2 props at a time. And they can bet a maximum of $2,000 on each prop. They can make their 2 bets. Then they got to get out of line, get back in. They can keep doing that all night long, but they can only bet 2 at a time. So they want to give everybody a fair shot at the opening numbers. What you'll see from those same sharps come late Saturday night and Sunday morning when all these props hit their apex, where everybody has, bet the overs and driven the line up. They'll come back Sunday morning and be betting a bunch of unders on props because the line has moved. That's the way the sharps do it. And that works the same way if you're betting the over-under on the game. If you like the over, you bet it right away. If you like under, you wait till Sunday because when the public comes, they're not betting under 45. They don't want to see that. They want to see points scored. And I can tell you a little trivia question for you. The best Super Bowl for the books in Las Vegas, and they win money every year. It's just how much money. I think that in the last 20 years, there's only been one Super Bowl that they actually recorded a loss, and it was a minor loss. but one of their best Super Bowls ever, because they cashed just about every prop there was the Rams New England Super Bowl, where there was no scoring. There was no scoring. There was no overs on any props. They cleaned house that day. So the books are rooting for no action while the fans want scoring, passing yards, points, anything attributed that way.
Well, Marco, we talk about the props, and it sounds like, whether it's receiving yards, rushing yards. I mean, I think you could probably bet on anything on whether, the coin flip is heads or tails, or what color Bad Bunny's outfit is going to be during the halftime show. What are some of the prop bets that you would maybe, steer folks to, or maybe to stay clear of?
Yeah. One thing to clear up as far as Vegas goes, some of those exotic prop bets like you talk about, you can bet those, but you can't bet all of those in Las Vegas. The only what you want to call fun one that you can bet in Vegas is the coin flip, the opening coin flip. And the reason for that is, like, if you bet offshore, you can play, Bad Bunny's first song. You can bet the color of the Gatorade to the winning team, what color it's going to be. The coach gets dumped on, all of those kind of things. The length of the Super Bowl, the national anthem, you can do all of those. But in Vegas, Nevada Gaming Commission, for you to have a prop bet, it has to be something that is in a box score. That's the only way you can bet on it in Nevada. So everything is going to be, stat driven, where there's a clear cut official box score to determine that. Because sometimes you get in some gray areas with stuff, even like with the color of the Gatorade, if it's not clear that it was yellow or it was blue or whatever, sometimes there's a gray area, and you don't want to have a judgment call, so to speak. We got enough of those with the referees in the game itself. But that's a little tidbit on that. In betting the coin toss in Vegas, you can bet the coin toss anywhere from a low of minus 101 to minus 105. And think about it. It's literally a 50-50 proposition, and the book doesn't care, because they're making, $1 to $5 on every $100 wagered, if it's 50-50 wagering action there. So that's it always cracks me up, but people want that first win as soon as the game starts. It's hilarious. But we do have several props that I do like for you guys that I'll share with you here, and some quick reasoning on them. One of my favorite props, and I use this one a lot in Super Bowls, and I think in this year it applies even more. You can bet which half is going to be the higher scoring half. And I'm going the second half will be the higher scoring half. And that's a proposition that is minus 135, meaning you have to risk 135 to win 100. And the reason I say that is most Super Bowls start the same way. It's like a heavyweight boxing match. You don't come out throwing haymakers, okay? You're jabbing, you're filling your opponent out. You don't want to be the team that makes the first mistake. And given that we do have two good defenses in this game, with Seattle being an elite defense all year, I've said 1 and 1A with them in Houston. And you've got a quarterback that's only in his second year, and I pointed out Drake May is an MVP candidate. He's either going to win the MVP or be the runner-up. This is a guy that this is only his second year in the league. I remember another quarterback, a Hall of Fame quarterback, that went to the Super Bowl in his second Super Bowl. It was one of the biggest wins for me personally on wager on a Super Bowl. And that was Dan Marino with the Miami Dolphins against the 49ers. Now, granted, the 49ers were in the midst of their dynasty run back then in the 80s, but still, they got toasted in that game, and it's just overwhelming. And I think with that in mind, they're going to be a little bit conservative in the first half, not take any chances, but things will open up in the second half when you make those halftime adjustments. You see what the team, has game planned for you, and now, you counter it at halftime with adjustments. So first prop, take over higher scoring half, second half. Next one, for you guys. This is a spot where Drake May, number of completions. Now, for everything that I said about the defense with Seattle, this one's going to make you scratch your head a little bit, because I'm going to actually take Drake May on over 20 completions. And the reason we're going to go with that is because I don't see New England being able to run the football effectively against the Seattle defense. The Seattle defense is number one at stopping the run. So they're going to have to throw the football. But what they're going to do is a lot of high percentage check down passes, which will make the passing game, the short passing game, be an extension of their running game, since they won't be able to run the football in a traditional format. With that said, I think Drake May is going to get a lot of cheap completions. And if I'm correct on Seattle winning the game, that means New England's going to be behind in the game. If New England's behind in the game, they're going to have to throw the football. So that is a prop I like. Drake May, 20 plus completions. That is a wager you can get at -10. And kind of correlated with that wager, we're going to look at total interceptions. Drake May has thrown interception in 2 of his 3 playoff games. Since October 26th, he's thrown an interception in 8 of 13 starts. I'm going to go ahead and take Drake May over a half of interception, meaning they put it at a half is he's going to have an interception. I'm going to go ahead and take Drake May in that wager that he will throw an interception in this game. And those are 3 props that I do like for you guys. With what I said, liking the second half to be the higher scoring half, I wouldn't have a problem with a wager on the first half under, which is 22.5 total points first half. That is another wager that you could make on this game. So a lot of ways to make some money in the Super Bowl, guys. But one thing to remember is it's one game. And don't wreck your whole season, all the money that you've made over betting the Super Bowl. Play it smart.
Yeah! It's Marco D'Angelo with us here, wagertalk.com, your plays for Super Bowl Sunday. Marco, before we get you out, we obviously have basketball season and baseball season coming up, and I know football is the main sport for you, but where can folks check out all of your betting action, your betting news?
Yeah, the great stuff is, the sad part is football's done. The good part is we're just a couple weeks away from a March Madness, which we love for college basketball. And that swings right into then you follow the NBA playoffs, hockey playoffs, and baseball season starting. So you can follow me on Twitter, X, Marco in Vegas. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got so many videos over there, Wager Talk TV, covering everything for the Super Bowl. And, of course, our premier flagship show, Bet On It. We break everything down in detail, some more props there as well. And, guys, it's been a fun season. Hope everybody was able to make some money and enjoyed the content, and always enjoy talking with you guys.
Well, Marco, we love having you on here. Obviously, that started back a few years ago. I remember when I was in here with Nick as well. And, you alluded to the Super Bowl only being the second highest, event. And you talked a little bit about those first 4 days of March Madness. When we have you in here every week and we get to that point where you kind of tip us off on the Nebraska football, because that's, the bread and butter, what a lot of people listen to. But these folks here around Nebraska this year might have a little bit of added interest as their basketball team isn't doing too bad. And maybe those first 4 days there for March Madness may have a little bit of action from some Nebraska folks for the first time in a long time.
Absolutely. The Cornhuskers have played incredible basketball so far. They lost a tough one the other night, but they are having a good season. They will be in the big dance, that is for sure. And who knows, maybe we get Bill and some of you guys come out and experience March Madness in all its glory out there. I can't say enough. If you've never been here, that is a guy's trip bucket list you got to do.
Well, we'll send you a corn head so you can wear it proudly in the sportsbook whenever you're betting on Nebraska, right?
There you go. All right.
It's Marco D'Angelo with us, your wagertalk.com. Marco, appreciate all of the insight. Good luck this weekend.
All right, guys, enjoy the game, and you know the drill. Let's cash some tickets.
There he is, Marco D'Angelo, wagertalk.com. good stuff from Marco. But we mentioned one thing. We got basketball season that we're going to probably turn our attention to post Super Bowl Sunday. It's been a big week of NBA action with trade deadline coming your way today. We'll get into that and a whole lot more after the break right here on the Morning Hookup. How's that muffin? Oh, you can't hear me.
Everywhere by Fleetwood Mac. Should already be saved.
Well, it's not actually. It's not. Have you heard the? I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, can you imagine? Hey, how many minutes do we have? 2.5?
Right in time.
So you've got your umpiring schedule then?
I've gotten not all the games I'll have this spring, but I have a good number of them. I don't think I can check. I don't think I have.
Where are you going to see out at the Falcons Nest?
As it stands, I think I have a game out there, but I don't think it's you guys. I need to check that. I don't know. I was just signing up for games left and right, willy-nilly, trying to get what I could. They're coming back here, though. Welcome back into the Morning Hookup, rock and rolling with you on a Thursday. It's Elijah Herbal and Stu Lone in for Bill Hooks on the way down to. I don't know.
Well, you never know. I mean, because most of the time up here in Nebraska, you see this storm that's going across the country, and how often boy, I hope that stays north of us, right? You always hope that. Then we had just that one that just whopped the whole country like a week and a half ago. Yeah, you hope that stays south. The poor folks down there in Dallas had more snow than we did, right? And if you've ever been down there, I mean that place, they get a little bit of ice or a quarter inch of snow, and that city just shuts down. I think maybe 1 out of 20 people own a snow shovel, and that's just because they used to live somewhere else. So, but for his sake, you do hope it's nice weather down there so he can enjoy himself.
My buddy Graham, he moved down to Atlanta, and he laughed at all the Atlanters whenever they were nervous about there's some freezing rain coming to town. He's like, I'm from the Midwest, I know what I'm doing. And then he the first day with ice on the road slid into somebody, hit the back of their car. And he's like, it is different whenever you just don't have the services of sand and salt on the road.
Oh yeah,
and snow plows.
They don't budget for that.
It is just, he said it was extra brutal. So
well, and I think you would take into the account though, up here, while we may not like what's coming down during January, you're under the assumption that 90% of us have seen this and or driven in it before. Now, while you may be from, say, the Midwest and are down there and this is nothing, the other 8 million people in that town have never seen that, and you don't know how they're going to respond on the road, and that can be, just as dangerous.
I will say, Hooksy, we mentioned this before. Picking this weekend of all weekends to go have a golf trip is hilarious because there is golfing weather in Lake. It's supposed to be 60, like 3 p.m. today.
Look at Monday or Tuesday. I want to say it said 68.
Yeah, like funny that this is the weekend that he picked. But you know what's crazy? He's going down to San Antonio. He's golfing. He's not going to see the Alamo. He forgot about the Alamo.
Really?
Yeah.
You got the Alamo and with the
all
boardwalk,
years,
all that stuff.
All these years I've heard remember the Alamo, and Hooksy's going down there, and he's not remembering the Alamo.
He's not remembering it?
No.
You know what's great, though, too, and I don't want to jump ahead and shortchange any of these high school teams that are, just in the heat of that basketball season as the state tournament districts, all that stuff is going to be getting close. But I can tell you that a lot of kids that don't participate in the winter sports that are relying on either track or baseball, they've already made plans for this upcoming week to get out, maybe throw some long toss, do stuff outside, which that's great. Again, we're not going to jump over the end of a sport, but for myself, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel and know that that baseball season is getting close and looking forward to it.
It's wild to think. I mean, Husker baseball's next week.
Yeah, well, they're also going to be playing a little bit further south as well too.
You're still playing baseball,
but you get the local kids to be able to get out and and just get the arm loose or whatever your sport may be. Still in winter, it's a great opportunity.
I will say, even if you can't get the kids out there, youth baseball, hey, if you got little Timmy out there and he's throwing heat, I need 140 pitches opening weekend. Hey, buddy, the wind matters more than
140 pitches opening weekend.
Yeah,
you are not a father, are you?
I'm kidding. The wind matters more than your arm, though.
Yeah.
Hey, that 12U opening weekend baseball tournament is forever. Your shoulder's temporary.
We're gonna max that guy out because we have to have this win. Yeah, trust me, I've seen it.
There are some coaches out there like that,
right?
And I think Dr. Dane Todd says this a lot of times this time of year. You as a parent, make sure that the coach of your team has your child's best interest at heart. And if you feel that maybe it's not at heart, you are the parent. You make sure that they are not exerting their arms early in the season or really at all as a 12-year-old.
Right.
There is a little bit of responsibility that falls on you as the parent to make sure that the coach understands, hey, my kid ain't throwing 140 pitches any weekend this season.
And that the win-loss record of your 12U team is not the resume builder that the coach necessarily needs.
Yeah, that win is not going to mean much whenever you got shoulder surgery at age 17 because you overexerted your arm.
Precisely. But like you said, we didn't want to skip ahead as there's not only the high school basketball, but I think we're going to jump into the professional basketball as we have the trade deadline.
Yeah, a couple of big trades have gone down this week. Deadlines coming your way this afternoon. Two big trades that stand out. First off, you have James Harden going from the Clippers to the Cavaliers. You also have Anthony Davis being traded up to the Washington Wizards. I want to start there.
With the AD trade?
Because this has somewhat put a bow, not fully because there are some draft picks, but for the most part, you have gotten a better idea of the return for Luka Doncic from that blockbuster
the whole
last
horrible trade
that
that made him run and hide.
Yeah, so in return for Luka Doncic, the Dallas Mavericks got themselves Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, Max Christie, which none of those names really stand out as being worth it for Luka Doncic. But then you have some future draft picks. You have 3 first-round picks. I believe 2 of those are top 20 protected, meaning it'll be 2 of those picks are guaranteed to be at the back end of the first round. And you also have 3 second-round picks.
And this is, the Mavs are sending Davis over to the Wizards, correct?
Yeah, so the Wizards got Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum, and Jaden Hardy.
Okay.
So Davis and Russell are the 2 biggerish names there, but Davis is the one player that's actually playing still high-level basketball. Even though
Russell.
Yeah.
Well, but I think one of the biggest things here, obviously, is that the Wizards have taken on a huge salary contract salary lumping.
This to me feels like
it's a move to the future.
It's the Mavericks investing in their future, getting some flexibility with their cap space, getting some first round picks that you can use for trades down the line.
Because make no mistake, they are going to build that team around Cooper Flagg, who he's on a heater the last 3 games. I don't know if you've seen what he's done.
He's playing great.
Yes.
He ain't Luka. This trade from last year still makes no sense to me.
It doesn't.
But you've gotten a little bit younger. You've decided that the guy you want to build your future around is Flagg and not Doncic. And I guess we'll have to check back in 5 years and see how that goes. I don't love it.
But right now, I mean, if you're a Dallas fan, you're very happy that you got that number 1 pick. Obviously,
but you can't say you needed Luka to get the number. I mean, your odds were still so terrible. And maybe the NBA, there was some collusion there to say, hey, let's get Luka to a big market, and in return, we'll get you the number 1 overall pick. There's always the conspiracy theories that fly around whenever something like that happens.
Right, because the player that Dallas got in return, Anthony Davis, now is no longer even on the team. Would he end up playing like 29 games for Dallas totally?
Oft injured during his time in Dallas.
I mean, so that, and that made everyone kind of scratch their head down there. And this is a Dallas fan base, right, who, is already still ticked off, about the Micah Parsons trade too. So they're starting to wonder, who's in charge of personnel down here with all of our teams. But yeah, I think Washington obviously going to take on a lot of that salary. Now Dallas is able to free that up, and both teams kind of at different spots on on where they're building their teams, and we'll see how that goes. Cooper Flagg I think is a generational talent.
And I think the big plus, if you're a Mavericks fan looking at this, is I think Cooper Flagg plays more of a team brand of basketball. Luka Doncic was so ball dependent. He was a ball handler in pick and roll. He's going to put up a lot of shots. He's going to score a lot of points, and he's going to do a lot for your team. But he was just so ball dominant. I think you can look at this if you're a Mavs fan and say Cooper Flagg, you can pair up the right guys with him and make the right run where Luka needs to be Luka in order for you to go win basketball games.
Exactly.
So that there's the silver lining to this. If you're a Mavericks fan, I still don't love the move, but you lucked your way into Cooper Flagg, and I think you can build a future of Mavericks basketball around him. But
are you a Nuggets fan then too?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
And did they make any moves?
No.
They didn't?
No, they feel confident about their team. I mean, you didn't have Jokic for a month and a half, and you were still stacking wins. They feel good about what that roster is. Now, that being said, the Thunder are going to be damn near impossible to beat this year. They're really stinking good.
Well, Thunder picked up Jared McCain from the 76ers. Kind of the third guard in that third guard rotation, obviously, that now that Philly has, with Maxey playing well and Edgecombe.
Yeah.
And Philadelphia got a first-round pick and 3 second-round picks for that.
And for the Thunder's sake, this seems to be it's a contingency move because Williams has been injured just about all season long, Jalen Williams, and you needed someone there to fill the shoes in case he does remain injured through the rest of the season into the postseason. That's what McCain feels like to me. He's an option that you can bring in should Williams not get back to health this season. It's a move I think you make with this season in mind. This is not a long-term move. This is all right, we need a guy to fill the shoes right now because Williams can't get healthy. So we're going to bring in McCain and let him go to work. And hey, if we don't need him come postseason time because Williams is healthy, fine. But if he's not healthy, at least we have an option.
Right. And obviously the Thunder had the draft capital that they had stored up to be able to make that move. Another trade here of interest that I've got, the Cavs go out and get, you and I kind of had different takes on this. Obviously it's a name, but the beard getting a little bit older. James Harden goes to the Cavs.
Mm-hmm. I liked Darius Garland's fit with the Cavaliers. And what I can use to justify this is it gives you contract flexibility moving forward, in that Darius Garland was on a 5-year, $197 million contract that I think ran through 2028 or 2029. And James Harden's just on a 2-year deal. So it brings you in a guy that I think in a backcourt pairing with Donovan Mitchell,
that just seems odd to me.
Who's gonna be the ball dominant guy there?
Right.
Those are both ball dominant guards.
And they're different tempo guys too.
But I think it brings you contract flexibility down the road. I think this is a move the Cavaliers make looking 3-4 years down the road in terms of the fact that you can move on from James Harden pretty painlessly. I think his contract is up. Is it next?
Is it
after next
27?
season?
Yeah.
After next season. So it brings you some contract flexibility. It's a potential deadline piece you can use next year, or an off-season piece that on a 1-year expiring contract teams will be more willing to take on. I think this is Garland wasn't necessarily playing up to the money we were paying him. We can bring in a guy in James Harden that can fill that void a little bit, and it gives us more flexibility from a cap space point of view down the road. That's my take on the deal. I don't think either team necessarily got better or worse with this.
There's one team I wanted to kind of bring up that I think has been a winner so far from the trade deadline, and that is the Atlanta Hawks. They have gone out and they've got a couple of bigs to pair up with Trae Young. Probably one of the bigger trades that they made. They went out and got Kuminga and Buddy Hield. Just had to give up Porzingis for it. Atlanta making some moves here at the trade deadline. Very impressed with what they've done.
The Wizards and the Hawks both, I think, have made some interesting moves that give them some play in the future. You have a vision for the Wizards for the future now with Anthony Davis, and then they all picked up Trae Young, which is interesting. Trae, I don't think he's even going to play this year, but it feels to me to be their plan for the future just a little bit. In that Anthony Davis has still got some good basketball left in him, and he seems to be an older vet that you can use to bring along some of the younger guys down the road here. And then as for the Hawks, this feels like a what's the right way to put it? It's the start of a rebuild, but you still have pieces that you can build your rebuild around, if that makes sense. I think Kuminga's a guy that he's never going to be a star in the league, but he can be fine. Kristaps Porzingis, at least compared to him, you'll be able to keep Kuminga on the floor because Kristaps is
always hurt.
A shell of himself of what he used to be. He was great, but he's no longer that. And then Buddy Hield's a guy that is just that veteran presence that you know what you're going to get from him on a night in, night out basis. As you look to the future with the Hawks, I think it's just some veterans that you can pair up some young guys with and be a little bit more consistent moving forward. That's my take on what it is moving forward. Both of those teams are going to fly under the radar, but I think when you look 2 or 3 years down the road, it could be a trade deadline that you look back on as being the trades that set the future for those franchises.
Just a couple other movements of note. Lonzo Ball headed to the Jazz, and the immortal Chris Paul going to head to Toronto, play with the Raptors.
The immortal Chris Paul. It sounds like the Lonzo Ball might get waived by the Jazz.
Really?
We'll see about that. Just kind of a contract clear move. The Jazz have plenty of cap space to work with. One more, Ayo Dosunmu traded from the Bulls to the Wolves.
Oh, okay.
So you look at the Bulls, they seem to be clearing out a lot. What does that mean for them in the future? Not quite sure, but maybe the start of another rebuild for the Bulls as well, saying, okay, this hasn't worked out. If there's anything you can say about the NBA, and I think you can look down Houston being a great example, you can turn the fortunes of your franchise in 2 to 3 seasons.
Very quickly.
Make 2 or 3 good draft picks and a couple deadline deal moves to get the right veterans paired up with some young guys, and you can change the course of your franchise very, very quickly in the NBA.
Look what Durant has done for that core of youth down there.
Yeah. It's the right veteran to pair up with all the youth that they have in Houston. They did well in a couple of drafts. They look to be set for the next 10 years, and I don't think Durant's going to stick around that long, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
It's the veteran presence to bring those guys along. I wonder if the Bulls are looking at, hey, a couple of good draft picks paired up with the right veteran in 2 or 3 seasons, and we could be a contending team. The East, I think, in a couple of years is going to be wide open. So that's kind of how I look with the Bulls, but we'll see if there's any breaking news this afternoon. Obviously, all eyes on Giannis, which I think
says he wants to stay, but you don't know if he's just saying all the right things or.
I think that's a guy saying all the right things, reading the tea leaves and being like, oh, I don't think there's going to be a deal that's going to get made.
Right.
The Bucks seem to have a high asking price for Giannis, and no one seems to be.
Well, rightfully so.
How desperate do teams get come doom today, though? With the deadlines, it's going to be slamming shut very, very shortly. How desperate they get, I think you're going to need a team with some desperation to go in and make a move.
I think you're going to see an Embiid for Giannis trade. I'm going to just go out on a total wild whim and calling it.
Question is, does that happen at the deadline or does that happen this upcoming offseason?
I can't give you that answer, but I still think it happens.
I wonder if this is a Giannis situation where he plays out the rest of the year with the Bucks, then you move him in the offseason.
He wants to play with Maxey. I think that would be an awesome pairing.
So that's NBA trade deadline talk for you. We'll see what happens between now and this afternoon whenever the deadline it does slam shut. Just to create some intrigue in the NBA to be determined. If there's anything about me, though, I will start caring about the NBA come about May. Once March Madness ends and, I need some basketball to watch. So that's like late April into May, playoffs start rolling around. That's when I'll start caring more about basketball.
Fair
But
enough.
trade deadline today is always an intriguing day.
Another break and
one final break, and then we'll get into some
stories that we missed.
I liked how we did that. That was cute. That was real cute.
Aw.
We have 5 minutes on the clock. Should be perfect for stories that we missed. What did we miss today? I gotta find something that we missed.
What did we miss? Hold me close, Tony Danza. Tony Danza.
Okay, and I need to find a story that we missed. Do you have any stories that we missed?
I'm searching. I'm searching. What are these anti-Mormon chants that are happening at BYU?
Oh, we could get into that maybe. We're coming back here though. One final time here on a Thursday morning hookup. Elijah Herbal, you Malone, rocking with you today as co-host makes his way down to Texas for a golf. We're hoping for a second from the airport bar from Dixie today. Sounds like he had some slight
Or he got stuck in one of those airport bars. And then it just spiraled from there. Absolutely spiraled.
Just one too many beers.
They don't give those things away.
Oh, they're going to charge you.
Anytime you step in the concourse, the price of everything
just went up.
Just almost doubles.
Well,
so if you need to get snacks or anything like that, it's nice that they have those at your, dispense if you need them, but try and bring everything you need.
Yeah.
You don't want to do grocery shopping at the airport by any means.
I hate airports, man. I hate airports. I hate airline travel. It's necessary sometimes. I hate it. I much prefer a road trip, but the problem is you hit like 10 hours in a road trip. You're like, okay, it's probably just worth it to fly.
Right.
Especially once you start paying for all that gas money. But I hate airports.
Yeah, it's just let me be crammed in that seat for about 3 hours and then be done with it.
You and I, we're both bigger gentlemen. I hate air. Like especially if you get middle seat, you're just all crammed in there. My knees are hitting the seat in front of me.
Oh, and it's amazing too that flew down to Arizona, back in November for a softball tournament, and the flight is completely full. So that you're gonna be sitting next to someone. So at least we put 3 of our teammates together, so it's not strangers, and we're all, my size or bigger, and it just, oh yeah.
I need the aisle seat so I can at least hang a leg out in the aisle. The flight attendants always get mad at me. But I'm like, I'm sorry, my legs are too long. I can't fit into this seat. Anyway, we're on a tangent now. Stories that we missed.
The stories we missed. The morning hookup.
Tomorrow we have the opening ceremonies for the Winter Olympics. Some events have already gotten underway. I think bobsled and curling are getting going here today. But are you a Winter Olympics guy? Hooks and I talked about this the other day.
No. I will follow and cheer, I personally don't get as jacked up for the Winter Olympics as I do the Summer Olympics for two reasons. The United States as a whole doesn't tend to, win as often as we do in the Summer Olympics, which I don't know why, because we have snow, ice, mountains, and everything here in the United States, but we always just seem to get our tails kicked in when it comes to, whether it be figure skating or downhill skiing by, Sweden or whatever.
I wish U.S. had some the ski jumpers.
Yeah.
I love ski jump.
And the secondly, I hate winter. I don't like the cold. I don't like ice and snow. Yeah, I'll watch it on TV, but I don't want to be out there fiddling around with it.
There's a couple events that I like, and I'm excited. They decided ski mountaineering, where it's a timed race where you have to climb up the mountain yourself and then ski down it. I'm looking forward to that. I like speed skating. There's some events that I'll tune in for. One of the things that has changed with the Olympics, though, is I feel like social media has kind of ruined some things. Where events get spoiled for you now early via social media. And it used to be like, oh, you're going to tune in and you'll get all the results in the evening on NBC. You'll tune in, you'll get to watch all the events. Now it's like, well, I already saw this event earlier today on Twitter. The highlight got posted for me and I already watched it. So it's changed Olympic viewing whenever everything you can catch live now via social media and via all the streaming services. Because I used to love with the Olympics sitting down every single evening and okay, let's get the catch up or the recap of what happened today, especially with all the American events. It's changed a little bit.
What would you say is probably the American strongest event for Winter Olympics?
They do pretty well with the ski half pipe.
Okay,
and like this, the snowboard half pipe and the snowboard big air. Some of the X Games influences kind of helped out there. There's always like a speed skater or two that tends to do well, but yeah, hockey. They always compete in hockey.
Okay,
yeah, always compete in hockey. It's always Russia, U.S., and Canada in hockey.
Those three. We just seem to be more dominant, when it comes to whether it be gymnastics, the basketball, the track and field stuff like that. And I like winning, don't like losing.
I'll be curious to see what the opening ceremonies look like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Any other stories you want to hit in the last 20 seconds here, or is that it?
I can't. I would just talk about, tomorrow I think we'll have Moats in, won't we?
Yep.
We'll probably preview Nebraska basketball as they look for a much needed rebound game headed out to Piscataway at Rutgers.
Yep. So play more coming to on a Friday. And Dane Todd, no longer Friday. He's a Monday guest, if that's new to you. So it'll be Jess the Almanac, Jeff Moats, but we have plenty to talk about on a Friday. We'll talk to you then. Let's end the stream here.